We assess the biotype in the first week. So it begins on day 1 through 7, and each day we asked you questions. We then sent you the biotype recovery report, and that biotype recovery report gave us a hypothesis of which types of tracks to give you, which ones were most likely to benefit you, and we would give you the ones that were most likely to benefit you first. So it's sort of trying to front load our program with what, based on our evidence, what will it benefit you the most. And so you begin these series of 2 to 5 day track or 3 to 5 day tracks. The whole time we're looking at your heartbeat, your pain heartbeat, which is the daily ratings. And we're using that. We look at your pain ratings before and after each track to measure whether that track helped you, and if so, how much. So these are all things that are going into our algorithm in the back end. So that's sort of how we use the biotype, but let me explain a bit more what the biotype includes. The biotype looks at a number of dimensions, and I highly recommend that anyone watching this take a screenshot, but I'll also read them out loud because I know some people are joining by phone. Optimism, pain anxiety, emotional awareness, attention and distraction, how aware you are of your body, your coping style, meaning whether you're more active or more passive coper, features of your pain, which are just, you can't really do anything about that. It's just how you feel pain in your body. Non-judgmental awareness, plasticity, which is sort of openness to new experiences, your openness to emotional expression, how sensitive you are to emotions, and how much social support you have. These factors, these features are extracted originally from a research study that pulled them out of over, oh my gosh, like 30 questionnaires. And we distilled the most important questions from those 30 questionnaires into, at the end, what you end up experiencing, about less than 100 questions on the first week. So these are statistically pulled out from a much larger data set that we had before as the things that seem to determine whether someone will improve or whether they won't improve in the studies that we've done. So even just looking at this, it's almost like a short list of what I can work on. Some of you, based on your biotype report, you'll notice that you already are high in some of these, or for instance, if you're low in pain anxiety, that's a bit better than if you're high in pain anxiety. So you can also sort of cross-check with your report how you're doing on some of these things. Although this list is bigger than the report that you got, because some of these were then further summarized into the 6 features of the report that you got. So to simplify your biotype into something more understandable, we explain it through these 6 major features. And so what you got in your report is a report of what each of these sort of summary features are. Your flexible attention is high, your adaptable coping is high. These are some examples. And also it has a little image of where in the brain that biotype is represented, because this is from a study that cross-referenced, cross-correlated these biotype dimensions to brain scanning activity. So these are actually sort of validated from a brain study, a brain function structure study in the Apkarian lab. But what this means is that you're working with different parts of your brain whenever you're working with these different dimensions. And that's all learning is. Whenever you work with different psychological constructs, psychological dimensions, that's how you create brain plasticity. And then there's a further step where, based on the combination, the ways that these are expressed in you, it predicts 1 of 5 biotypes. And I know that this is very small, and I'll send this out afterward also. But there are 5 different biotypes, and we have summaries of what each biotype means. So in your report, you likely only received one of these because that was the dominant biotype or pattern that you're expressing right now. You can express different ones over time. For instance, someone could go from a strategist to a shapeshifter. These are also, for instance, somewhat dependent on the amount of pain that you have. People who start out with pain that's constantly like 8, 9, 10 out of 10, but show, for instance, a very proactive coping strategies. They're very open to exploring. For some reason, their super, super intense pain doesn't affect their life much. Those tend to fall into the visionary category. Strategists tend to be highly rational people who look for patterns in their pain. They try to make the next step almost like a chess player. I'm going to do this, and that's by avoiding this, it's going to prevent pain from increasing later on. So they're trying to like stay a few steps ahead of the pain. That's a strategist. A hardist is someone who expresses a lot of emotions about the pain. And so I think of them as really great emotional learners, which means that they're also, their brains are optimally poised to learn positive emotional patterns as well. The shapeshifter tends to be super flexible. They tend to explore the environment a lot, be very open to many different types of new learning experiences. And it's almost as if a new learning experience, whatever it is, it doesn't matter, they'll get some benefit from it. So for instance, if you're a shapeshifter, you can just try almost anything new and you'll experience a little bit of a benefit from it. And so for instance, for that biotype, stacking, just, serially doing a new thing, one new thing after another, it's something that I think they intuitively do, where you just seek out a new learning experience to continue your neuroplasticity over time. And then the manifester, they tend to have lower pain and a lot of desire to explore the environment and try new things. So these are all patterns that have been extracted from the, this list of features over here, and they're expressed in different patterns. Also, these each have distinct brain networks associated with them as well, although we don't get into this here. And one of the reasons, this sort of goes back to one of the reasons why we began Aivo, because everyone can't get a brain scan and it's just not accessible to most people, but the brain scans that we've done, they have psychological correlates. It's correlated with different psychological dimensions, and we can work with those psychological dimensions. So it was a way to take the neuroscientific research that we've done and distill it in a way that's more accessible to a wider variety of people to where you can use it. So this is what biotypes are. And I hope that's been helpful. If anyone has any questions,